No, not yet.
Let me see here. Do you see my cursor moving around?
Yes, we see
Okay,
the
good.
Microsoft Teams.
Good. There we go. You see this now, correct?
Yes.
Good. Well, I thank you, everybody. It's great to see everybody. A lot of familiar names and faces there. And I appreciate the time you set aside for me to give the presentation to a fine group of humans. And just off the top, my name is William Crawford. I'm the Strategic Partnership Manager at Solve.Care. And the overlying arch of what we do is that we build infrastructure for healthcare. So you'll see that in the presentation, but if you're wondering before too long into the presentation, that's what we do. We build infrastructure for blockchain healthcare applications. And so I'll get started with the presentation. The Binance founder and CEO of the largest cryptocurrency exchange based out of Canada said, in a Web3 environment, the connection between values, people, and economies is essential. And if these three elements come together to build an ecosystem, that will accelerate the adoption of the blockchain technology and crypto. So this is so important. People think it's about the technology or only about the automation, or often more broadly about the democratization of everything, but they miss his point that it's about shared values, communities of people, and the microeconomies, all of them coming together at no time before. So what is the history of past crypto offerings in regards to healthcare? So until now, Solve.Care has spent, past crypto offerings have not been relevant to the administration of, the delivery of, or even the payment for healthcare. There's a long list of reasons for this, which the main reason has been that healthcare is currently very complicated. And it's evolved, cobbled together and evolved into what it is now. And almost everybody agrees it's unsustainable. So anyone who's had to deal with an even moderately severe healthcare concern can vouch it's not friendly for the consumer to navigate because it's evolved this way. And there's a lot of red tape, which the stress of dealing with that red tape is negatively impacting patients' recoveries. Well, Solve.Care has spent 5 years building the infrastructure and the platform that addresses all of these concerns. And it's not just a proof of concept. We have use cases in use. So for the first time since before doctors made house calls, we're bringing high agility and adaptability, low risk, and quick deployment solutions to healthcare delivery. So the question is, who is leading Solve.Care? Well, Solve.Care is led by our CEO, Pradeep Goel, who many of you might have already known or have even met. He has 30 years of managing and building healthcare IT companies, was a former CIO for Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's his very well qualified opinion that worldwide current system of delivering healthcare is broken, and most importantly, not just broken, but unsustainable. So let's talk about the global award that Solve.Care has earned. Since its inception in 2017, the awards for innovation, technology, and solution providing have been numerous, and they continue as we strive for a pace of innovation above and beyond our own standards. This is the result of relentless focus. Our focus is on optimizing healthcare stakeholder interactions. That's the provider, the patients, and the support services in the ecosystem that is being built. Also, that in turn allows providers to be more focused on efficiency and effectiveness rather than administrative requirements. We focus on the platform as a Web3 distributed ledger for coordinating, administering, and paying for healthcare activities. Through decentralization, we focus on breaking down the old data silos that constrain patients and providers from communicating fully and effectively with one another. And most importantly, we focus on patient engagement and involvement to achieve improved clinical outcomes. So how is this done? Well, it's our platform, the Solve.Care platform. The platform consists of layer 2 protocol care networks that are built on the main chain, Ethereum, and the care wallets that interact with these networks. Well, what is a care network? Well, a care network is a decentralized Web3 protocol authored on the Solve.Care platform. It is healthcare activities that are tokenized and transacted on-chain, and it's done in a way that is compliant, it's low risk, and it's quickly deployable. This makes it ideal for evolving quickly and adapting quickly in a highly competitive marketplace environment. This is great for all stakeholders represented by their care wallets. So now let's talk about the care wallet. The care wallet is the actual gateway to the network, and it is the stakeholder. It represents them, it's their sovereignty, it's their identity, it's their tokenized assets, whether it's their data, their appointments, their prescriptions. The care wallet is the why, the how, the when, the what that governs how the patient, the doctor, and the nurse, and the insurance company all interact with other stakeholders. It's the individual's business logic of the ecosystem that it's operating in. What that means for everyone is that automation in real time with transparency, accuracy, and standardization like never before possible, because it's a baked in design, not a cobbled together effort. This means grandma can easily book her appointments, order transportation to her doctor's office, already have had her benefits verified, walk straight into the exam room without waiting, be seen, and make payment and reconcile with her doctor, pharmacist for anything prescribed in an almost real-time manner. The patient, the pharmacist, everybody involved is happy because it's easy, it's not complicated or frustrating. So let's talk about how this platform gets built, something called Care Labs. Care Labs is our sandbox. It's where the infrastructure is actually built. It allows anyone to easily create Web3 health networks. So we like to say that we're not the network builders. Now, we have built networks because we need to demonstrate that and how easy it is. But our hope is that people will use our platform just like they used GoDaddy to build their websites. That's the Web 2. We want to be the GoDaddy of Web3, easily authoring networks. And it's done in 3 easy steps. First, you download a wallet. Second, you activate, you build, and you publish your solutions. And 3, you learn, you get better, you take your solutions to the marketplace, you bid on projects you want to build. People can create real value with the networks they build, and they can create whole careers. The solutions are limited only by our imaginations, and you can start small and get bigger. If you want to make a simple care card that manages a support animal while you're at a doctor's appointment, you can do that. If you want to create a network that allows for published review and critique of each and every health encounter, like a Google or an Amazon review on all the networks that are on the platform and that will allow it, you can do that. If you want to get really big, let's say you want to create a network that brings together billions of patient health records and data to cure cancer. By finding the best health practices, you can do that as well. So you can do as little as 3 nodes or 3 million or 3 billion nodes. It's so easily scalable. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is how the infrastructure of our whole future healthcare system is being built. And it's been going on for 5 years at Solve.Care, and it's continuing to be built right now. So next is a prime example of a network built on our platform. It's called Care Marketplace. This network was created by Solve.Care. It's one of our examples of a network that can be built on our platform. It's the first crypto-only marketplace for FDA-approved medical devices. We just launched in June. We already have 3 major device manufacturers on the network and are quickly vetting more, as you can see other ideas here in the works. So what does all this infrastructure and use cases mean? It means adoption. and more adoption and more adoption. Well, how much? Well, there's nearly 8 billion people on the planet who will at some point want and need preventative or interventional healthcare. 8 billion potential care wallets. That's the future. But we get there, and you might wonder what's been accomplished so far. We have a top 20 pharmaceutical client, a 5,000 patient care network in Arizona, in which these patients are coordinated, administered, and cared for through the Arizona Care Network. We have a subsidiary of international insurance company Aon in the Philippines, managing their employees. And we've got corporate partners integrated all throughout our ecosystem as participant stakeholders in most of our networks. These stakeholders can plug into any network that's created on the platform and provide their tokenized services and products. We've launched network solutions residing on the platform, working quietly but powerfully and effectively delivering results. Now, remote patient monitoring is an example. Unlocking the data from the devices and getting it into the hands of physicians, something that's rarely done. If you've ever walked into an office with your smartwatch, they don't necessarily want to look at it. Another example, shared decision making, allowing all care participants to coordinate their findings and recommendations in real time. And then another, a diabetes care network, which systematizes the care algorithms of diabetic care. So the next question is, what's possible from here? What markets are there? As we scale, what sectors are we positioning ourselves to disrupt? So there's the US government via qualified vendors who will resell Solve.Care solutions. There will be doctors who will launch their own care networks, which can be launched in under 20 minutes. You define the rules and the data needs to be shared, then you publish, with those needing to communicate and coordinate with in their practices. There are hospitals and institutions who will be coordinating their care via Solve.Care networks. There's a pharmaceutical company already, all the pharmaceutical companies who are already on the vanguard using or trying Web3 solutions currently. So all of this was a result of COVID isolation, which drove the need for alternate connectedness in healthcare. So what is the fuel behind all of this on the platform? Well, it's the Solve token. It's how value is transferred within our networks. The Solve token is the digital currency for the Solve.Care ecosystem. All tokenized services, product transitions are conducted in Solve token between network peers, nodes, or as we call them, care wallets. Our care wallets are the nodes in the network. As an asset, it has consistently outperformed its similarly capitalized peers. So with that, I go back to what the CEO CZ said about connecting values, people, and economies. Solve.Care is continuing to build and scale an ecosystem of healthcare values, communities of healthcare stakeholders, and the mini economies of decentralized networks, as well as the macro economies of countries worldwide. All of this through a singular focus of better healthcare delivery and better healthcare results for the entire planet. So ladies and gents, I thank you for your time and attention. I'd like to hear from anybody who's interested in exploring a partnership with Solve.Care to build out our ecosystem, to provide development services, or who might want to adopt Web3 solutions for their current challenges they're experiencing. What I'll do is I'll put my LinkedIn profile in the chat if anyone would like to reach out to me. And with that, I'd like to say good day, my friends, and I'll take any questions.
Hey there, William. Thank you for making that presentation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm trying to visualize if Solve.Care could have a common problem in medicine. And the reason I ask this with a little urgency is I'm going to be going to a Medicare presentation by my representative in Congress, Representative Trone, who, by the way, is an entrepreneur himself. And that will
very well.
Yeah, so that'll be on Monday. And the problem that I'm seeing right now with Medicare is that the lists of doctors who accept new Medicare patients is not accurate. I think everybody's in the audience has probably had the experience of, choosing 3 doctors, and when you call them, they're like, oh, no, that's out of date, right?
Right, exactly.
So I know some companies out there have thought about solving this problem using blockchain technology. Is Solve.Care a platform that could be used to solve this problem, or is there a solution out there that you know of? Can you give me more details, please?
Well, essentially what we say is that if you're familiar with Salesforce.com, when they came on the scene, people said, we have all of our contacts and all our relationships in our own proprietary modules in our computers and on our networks. You can't possibly give this form fit solution out of the box to us. But what Salesforce did was they found that there was maybe 7 or 8 very common processes, business processes, that every corporation does. And so they started with that. So the corollary for us is that there are, in almost every business or stakeholder network of people that are doing business with each other, there are 6 or 7 core competencies and processes that are happening. People may think that it's so very customized to their unique situation and as well as their challenges, and it is to an extent, but there is a common denominator in which a lot of the solutions that already exist can be applied. So that's what we do is we build these modules and these networks so that they can be applied. Anyone can go in and drag and drop, plug and play those solutions. If not, this can always still be customized. So my answer in short, what I'd say is that if the relationships can be identified, who the players are, who the stakeholders are, and you can identify the relationships they're supposed to have with each other and what data they need to share, I'd say that odds are you have a very good chance of being able to solve that problem. And it's essentially, probably the best way I like to say it is that you're taking a very manual, labor intense or resource intense problem, and on the back end, kind of turning it into a vending machine by tokenizing whatever transactions or data have to take place and be transacted. Does that make sense?
It sounds really interesting how it's like Salesforce and there are core competencies. I'm not personally trying to solve this myself, by the way, except as a patient who needs a couple of doctors. And I can't quite see how your solution could solve that. So anyway, if somebody can drop something in the chat, maybe to help focus this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Cheryl, this is Marquis. Just to interject, Clinical Squared has partnered with Solve.Care to address some of these aspects of service delivery that you're talking about. I'd be happy to connect with you offline and share some of our plan on, because there's 7.5 million physicians and facilities in the United States that are licensed to bill Medicare, and keeping that information about how available these physicians are for new patients and et cetera is pretty crucial. So we have some ideas, but I'd love to share with you.
Great. Is this Marquis?
Yeah.
Great. Yes, let's do that. How should we connect?
Oh, I got your info.
Okay.
I know where you are. I'll hit you up.
Yeah. Give me a text.
Thank you, Marquis. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I see Gerard. Gerard has had his hands up twice. Gerard.
Yeah, listen, I'm a big fan of Solve.Care. At the last event when Pradeep spoke, he talked about the concept of failing fast. I don't know if you were at the event or not, or had a chance to hear his talk or hear him talk about this. But one of the things that he talked when he was working on, I think he was working on healthcare.gov and Blue Cross Blue Shield, and he was talking about these massive systems, right? I guess hundreds of millions, $1 billion systems, and he talked about how difficult it was to make change in healthcare because these systems were so big, and how Solve.Care was allowing folks to sort of come up with these sort of small projects and fail fast, right? He talked. So I don't know if did you have a chance to hear that talk? Would you like to comment on that, or if you like, I'd be happy to.
No, go ahead, George.
Yeah, so one of the things I think is just really amazing about Solve.Care is Pradeep would talk about how these vendors would come in, these large organizational vendors, and they would offer to make a change, and that those costs were, I'm trying to remember, multiple millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And that these giant healthcare companies that are really at the center of all these healthcare transactions, this is what it was. And so the risk associated with making a change was so high and the timeline was so long that what they found was that problems never got fixed. And what this Solve.Care system solution does is allow people to sort of take a smaller population and literally in a very, very short period of time, and when I say short period of time, I'm talking about weeks, be able to stand up a solution and prove it. And if it doesn't work and they spend $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 on a solution that doesn't work, he said that for these large companies that was a rounding error, right? It would and it gave them the opportunity to experiment, try to work out the kinks and solve problems at a much faster rate. So that the very idea of being able to take these very large healthcare problems, breaking that down into smaller pieces, put a team together, right? Essentially develop the prototype and then be able to scale rapidly, I think is one of the most powerful innovations in healthcare that could solve lots and lots of problems. So I'm a big fan of what Solve.Care has done. So
and this dovetails nicely into the GBA's blockchain maturity model, because Pradeep even said in the presentation that as you say always, Gerard, nobody ever gets fired for hiring IBM or Deloitte. So taking a chance to wait for a solution that's 6-7 months down the line, you don't get to see anything along the way. This solves that problem. You can have an author network in about 20 minutes with 3 nodes and see immediately whether it's working or not. And if it's not working, you fix it. So it's kind of the answer to not having to take the safe route of hiring the big boys and getting an expensive, maybe not even workable solution down the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and I also think it's a great opportunity for the IBMs, the Deloittes, the Arthur Andersons, because here's the thing: in software development, we learned that one of the biggest innovations of software development was the use of the agile methodology, right? Because before we would do waterfall, and the Department of Defense would do these big waterfall projects, and you would go down 2, 3, 4 years and realize you were $500 million over budget. And by the way, this thing's never going to work, right? And so even partnering with some of these big companies, right? If they walk into a government client and say, hey, listen, we have a methodology for solving healthcare problems, and it's based on the agile methodology of breaking things into small pieces, getting it right, and building it from there, as opposed to the traditional waterfall methodology, which is what Pradeep was talking about. So I think that there's so many incredible opportunities for people to work with Solve.Care and really be able to make progress by being able to make mistakes and not having those mistakes cost much. So that's it. Over.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, we're also hoping to be one of the first to be accredited through the government blockchain maturity model.
Yeah.
So I see Earl had his hand up. Is he gone now? Yeah, I think he took his hand down.
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
All right. So my question to you on this is that you're building, or folks are building microservices within the piece. Will these, and those microservices are their networks, can these networks actually work together? In other words, in certain situations, certain microservices we would want to link together. Can you hear me?
It's coming in and out, and it could be on my side. I had some slow internet earlier. Could you repeat it? I think it might be working now.
All right, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, based on what I'm hearing, is folks are building microservices, and within those microservices, those networks that are those networks of microservices, can those networks actually work together? Can they link together?
Absolutely. They are designed to be interoperable with each other as well. So every network on the network, if they wish, can be part of a larger network built out of all the smaller ones.
So it actually can build its own neural network.
Correct. I'll give you an example. We've got a partnership with Uber in which a patient can go into their wallet and open their card for Uber, and their insurance company could pay for their ride to the doctor's office. So the Uber network itself that they've built is a standalone network, but it also ties into the network that the insurance company may have built to manage and administer the benefits for its clients. And that module of the Uber network can be plug and played into any other network that's being built. If they have a transportation.
Then it could also deal with the doctor portion of it as well. Then at the same time, so any of the networks that are associated to the doctor, so you're starting to link up these networks, and then you're getting a single user experience at that point.
Exactly. So let's say a doctor authors a network, and he has a practice of 500 patients. He can author his network, and then he can integrate the Uber services into his network. All he has to do is have that coded by us. We define the roles and the people and the stakeholders in the network, and then we interconnect them and make them interoperable with each other.
Perfect.
So you can see as we build new networks, we build more capability for everybody, not just the person that built that network. I think I don't see any more hands. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is John. I have a quick question about, the data cleanliness from that standpoint and the interoperability. So if you have multiple networks that people have been making, and they make a custom field that's named this and it's named something else, what is are there standards? Sorry about that, my dog. Are there standards as far as how you would relate data that's technically the same but maybe labeled differently from across different networks so that it's actually interoperable and usable? Is that controlled at this infrastructure level, or how would that work?
That's probably a more technical question. And in fact, some of it I wasn't able to hear, not because of the noise, but my internet for some reason slows down. It's very fast, but then it has these long pauses. Can you repeat the question again?
Right. So basically, if you're obviously having different folks and different groups making their own networks. The goal is to have the interoperability, to be able to share data. But obviously, a large part of that is your maybe your data dictionary, right? So if someone's naming their custom fields within their application that they're creating, something else, how does that reconcile, when you're coming to that interoperability standpoint? Is that something that's being controlled at the Solve.Care, the protocol level, or, how does that kind of work? Is that just an individual, when they try to join networks together, that you have to kind of figure that out?
That's defined in the coding. So when someone authors a network, they're defining the rules, the data, what interoperability they desire. When it gets coded, it's coded in the protocol. So I guess the short answer, it's handled in the protocol, in the coding and authoring of that network. Does that make sense? Answer your question?
Partially, I think, yeah.
It's in the protocol. That would be the place where the interoperability is defined and governed.
Thank you.
I think that might be it. I think I saw Mr. Vishal.
Hey, William. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey,
Yes, I can hear
thanks a
you.
lot for this presentation. I was thinking maybe I'm running short of time, so I thought I will take it off the meeting. But I have one small question. You said you are having this on the Ethereum platform, okay? But where
That's
I'm
correct.
coming from, digital health is something of a very great interest to us. And that's why your presentation sounds like music to me. But I have one question. Is it possible that we can have a similar thing on an enterprise blockchain rather than having a public blockchain, like Ethereum, like a Hyperledger or something?
Well, what we do is we're a layer on that
Ethereum.
foundation. So we can create a permissioned network or an unpermissioned network. So the short answer to your question is yes. You can have a private, and and there's always downsides to having a small network like that, but it is possible to have a permission network as well.
Okay, cool. So I have already sent you a request. I will be taking it off the meeting and would like
Great.
to discuss it later. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I think that might be it. Josh?
Hey, thanks, William. Appreciate your willingness to come forward and present to us today and let our group and our community know what's going on with Solve.Care and your organization. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.